after a long time, yeah, meet again. Uh, Under this pandemic situation, it is difficult to continue our class. But anyway, in the remote learning, I think it will be effective. Uh, Tried after around 1.5 months. Sometime you might have given up whatever things you have learned up to now. But today we are going to discuss about uh, responsibility accounting and transfer pricing. Prior to that, I will summarize the entire syllabus content, how extent we have discussed up to now, and thereafter we will look at how we cover up the remaining syllabus content. Okay. There are 5 parts in the syllabus. Part A consists with cost management. Under that, there are 5 topics: modern manufacturing environment, activity-based costing, strategic management and value creation, environmental aspect of cost management, and learning curve. Out of these 5 topics, under first topic, the modern manufacturing environment we have already done. There are some theory parts to be included, like JIT production environment, Six Sigma, like those theoretical topics need to be discussed. Under this modern manufacturing environment, it consists with throughput accounting. Throughput accounting we have already discussed in the classroom. Activity-based costing we have done. The strategic management and value creation, that value chain analysis, it is theoretical part, we will cover up later. Environmental aspect of cost management we have already done, and learning curve already we have completed in this particular segment, cost management. Okay. Second one, part B, planning and controlling. Part B, planning and controlling. Planning and controlling. It has a weightage of 25% of the syllabus. 25%. Under planning and controlling, the very first topic, standard costing. Standard costing and variance analysis. We have already completed with the past paper. Next topic, capacity planning. This is a new topic. We need to discuss it. Third one, budgeting. We have planned to conduct this class on 7th April. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it. Budgeting topic we need to discuss. The next topic under planning and controlling, responsibility centers. Responsibility centers and transfer pricing. This is the topic we are going to discuss today. Okay, anyway, we'll complete it today itself. Responsibility centers and transfer pricing. Standard costing also we have already completed. Standard costing and variance analysis. Budgeting and capacity planning to be done. Okay. Now part C. Part C. Decision making. Decision making. It has given 30% weightage. This include capital budgeting and short-term decision making. First part, short-term decision making. Short-term decision making. Then long-term decision making, that is capital budgeting. Decision making. then pricing, and this is a quite new topic, big data for decision making. Big data for decision making. Those are the main 4 topics covered under decision making segment. Part D, risk and uncertainty. Uncertainty. It is given 15% weightage. Under this topic, mainly we are discussing about mainly risk and uncertainty. We will discuss our decision theory. Therefore, it has given 15 marks. Risk and uncertainty, uncertainty in decision making. That include decision trees, thereafter payoff table, decision rules. We are discussing under risk and uncertainty, which has been allocated 15% weightage. Final part, part E. Working capital management, which we have already done. Working capital management. Working capital management, weightage 10%. Remember, this entire topic we have already completed. Okay, then you have an idea about what are the areas we have already completed and what are the areas we have to touch up. If you look at part A, most of the parts we have already done. Few theoretical concepts need to be explained. Planning and controlling, this budgeting is the main part. It needs to be completed. And decision making full part and part D, risk and uncertainty, these need to be completed. Okay. This is the complete snapshot of your syllabus content. I think pilot paper already released, then you can get an idea about the exam paper, and we'll do the pilot paper. I will upload the MCQ paper into the website, or I will share the link, then you can do the pilot paper and you can see how much you can get it. Okay. Today we are going to start this topic, responsibility centers and transfer pricing. There's a high probability, there's 10% mark, 10% or 10 marks question will be tested from this responsibility centers and transfer pricing. Now you need to practice more and more questions. I have already shared some MCQ papers through online. You can attempt those and you can see how much you can get. Okay. We are going to start responsibility centers. Responsibility centers and transfer pricing. Responsibility centers and transfer pricing. This is the topic we are going to discuss. Mainly this responsibility center accounting, we are going to discuss about if you have a big organization, okay, then you will divisionalize in order to evaluate the performance, in order to expedite the operation, you will divisionalize. Then divisional managers will give the autonomy to make their own decisions. Then internal transfers might be that. Then how we will pricing those transactions. Likewise, those concepts we are going to discuss under responsibility center accounting and responsibility centers and transfer pricing. Under that, these are the topics we are going to discuss. Subtopic: what are the responsibility centers? And their task. How to evaluate the risk. And secondly, we will discuss transfer pricing. Transfer pricing. Pricing application. Transfer pricing application. Third, we'll look at divisional performance measures. Divisional performance measures. These are the key areas which are going to discuss under this topic. Okay. Okay, we'll start with responsibility center accounting. Okay. If you move to the first page of your tute, responsibility centers. Responsibility accounting is the term used to describe decentralization of authority, with the performance of the decentralized unit measured in terms of accounting results. With a system of responsibility accounting, there are three types of responsibility centers. Yes, there are three, but that three responsibility centers we can analyze into four. How? Here it has given three responsibility centers. First one, it has given cost centers. Cost centers. Second one, profit centers. Third one, investment centers. Investment centers. Now, how to calculate profit? Revenue minus cost. Therefore, this profit center consists with two responsibility centers, because they are responsible for both cost and revenue. Therefore, we can divide this into two: revenue center and cost center. Revenue center and cost center. Revenue center and cost center. Therefore, ultimately, we can identify four types of responsibility centers. First one, cost center. Second one, revenue center. Third, profit center. Fourth, investment center. Because some or divisions might be there, they only generate, only responsible for revenue. There won't be any other cost sometimes. But you can identify cost, profit, investment and revenue. Those are four segments. Clear? What is the purpose of having this type of responsibility centers? The purpose is, now assume there's a large organization. Large organization. We'll say ABC company. ABC company. Okay. Now they need to control or monitor their activities closely. Sometimes they might have a large operation. When there's a large operation, it is difficult to monitor the result or difficult to monitor the performance of the organization. Okay. The purpose of this responsibility center accounting is to decentralization. විමාධ්‍යගත කිරීම. මොකද්ද මේ විමාධ්‍යගත කිරීම කියන්නේ? Decentralization means we will give the authority of making decisions to the divisional or sub-level managers. They can make their own decision, own division. Okay. Now, Decentralization means we will give authority to make their own decision. Okay. The decentralization facilitate divisionalization, because that means if you want to decentralize the decision making power, you need to divisionalize. As an example, government need to make some decentralization. Therefore, they will establish provincial council, urban council. Likewise, why? They will distribute the decision making powers to the bottom level managers for the administrative purpose. In a company, we have different product, we have different function. In order to decentralize the decision making power, we can segregate company operations or functions, or product wise we can divisionalize. Therefore, we can say this is production, this is admin, this is finance. This classification we call functional based divisionalization. When we are going to decentralize the decision making power, there are two ways to do it. You can segregate or divisionalize your organizational operation. Okay, divisionalization. You can divide into two ways. First one, functional basis. Okay, functional basis. Functional basis. For your purpose, for your comfortability, the company might divisionalize the operation like production, sales and marketing, finance, human resource, etc. This divisionalization based on functional basis. You can divisionalize or split company operation based on product or service. Product or service. Example, product A, product B. Likewise, you can divisionalize your company operation based on product or service you are offering. Okay, company offering. Therefore, now you need to look at about what is the meaning of divisionalization. At the beginning, I said that decentralization facilitates to divisionalization. Okay, decentralization. Decentralization facilitates to divisionalization. What it means? If you delegate the authority to make their own decision to the divisional level or bottom level managers, that is called decentralization, delegation of authority. Delegation of authority facilitate to divisionalization. Divisionalization means organizational operation will split into small part based on functional service basis or based on product or service basis. Okay, then you have an idea. Decentralization facilitate to divisionalization. Divisionalization can be performed in two ways, either functional basis or either product or service basis. Therefore, first shall we write it down, what is the meaning of decentralization? What is the meaning of decentralization? Okay. What is the meaning of decentralization? Decentralization means delegate authority to make their own decision. Therefore, you can write it down. The meaning of decentralization. What is the meaning? Okay. I will write down here decentralization, the large scale organization can be split into divisions. Sorry. First we write decentralization. Divisional managers have an autonomy. What is the meaning of autonomy? Independence, to make their own decision. Simply we can call delegation of authority. That is called decentralization. Delegation of authority. Okay. Delegation of authority. Therefore, the divisional managers have an autonomy to make their own decisions. That is called decentralization. Okay, we'll write down what is the meaning of divisionalization. Okay, divisionalization. What is the meaning of divisionalization? Divisionalization means we will split organizational operation based on product or service or based on functional basis in order to manage the operation smoothly. Therefore, this divisionalization facilitates to decentralization. I have told earlier it is the other way around. Sorry, divisionalization facilitates to decentralization. Therefore, shall we write it down? What is the meaning of divisionalization? The large scale organization. Organization can be split into divisions in accordance with product or service. The functional basis also can be used to divisionalization. The divisionalization leads to leads to decentralization. Divisionalization leads to decentralization. Okay. Simply, if I tell about the responsibility center accounting at the inception, in order to run the operation smoothly, we will split or large scale, if it is a large scale organization, we will split company operation based on function or based on product or service. Then allocate the or delegate the authority to make their own decision. That is called divisional autonomy will be given to make their own decisions. Okay, that is the fundamental of divisionalization and decentralization. When you allocate division, assume now if it is a company, finance department, marketing department, now when you working in a company, if there's a separate departments, divisions, divisional managers act their own interest. I will take an example. Marketing department, their purpose is to maximize their revenue, maximize the sales. They will get commission on number of units or total value of sales they have made. They may not consider about the recoverability. But finance people look at the recoverability prior to accept any sales contract. They will say, okay, we can't sell on credit. This customer has defaulted 1 month already. But marketing department, they want to sell it. Then since they acting their own interest, there might be some conflicts among the divisions and department, because divisional managers has an autonomy to make their own decision. They will act on their own interest. Okay, anyway, first we have identified divisionalization and decentralization. Now we will look at what are the benefits of it, advantage of divisionalization. First one says, divisionalization can improve quality of decisions. Okay, number one. In a large scale organization, top management may not have a sufficient time to attend to the ground level decisions. If they delegate the authority to down level managers, they can make their own decisions, and speed of decision and quality of decision, or we can make the rational decisions. Okay, because ground level people have the knowledge about the ground level situation. Therefore, they will make accurate decision. First advantage, we can make more rational decision. First advantage, keep in mind, ability to make more rational decisions. You can make more rational decisions. Second, decisions should be taken more quickly. Okay, since autonomy has delegated or allocated to the lower level management, divisional managers can make their own decisions. Decision can be made quickly. Not hierarchy levels. Then you can easily make the decision. Quick decisions or speed up in decision making. Speed up in decision making. Speed up in decision making. I will take an example. There are some groundworks. Assume you are in an audit firm. Whether partner will attend to each and everything? No. Because he has delegated authority to manager, supervisor, senior. They have delegated authority to do some tasks on behalf of the entire company or your partner. assume depreciation computation. Sometime partner may not review the depreciation. It has been allocated to senior. You can review it. Manager, you can review it. Then decision making more speed up. Okay. No need to worry about, because decision making power has been allocated, segregated among the people. Next one. Motivate divisional managers. Motivate divisional managers. Motivate divisional managers. When delegate the authority, then managers, divisional managers will motivate, because they think my decision, I can make my own decision. Organization is recognized about my ability, talent. Therefore, divisional managers will motivate since they are in the decision making process. That is one kind of advantage. Other one, freeze from top management. What this mean? Top management allocate their time to make strategic decision instead of operational decisions. Like stationery එකක් ගන්න උනත් CEO ගාවට යන්න ඕන නම් එතන delegation එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒ වගේ පොඩි decision ගන්න පුළුවන් පල්ලෙහා ඉන්න divisional managers ලාට. Therefore, they can allocate more time instead of operation. They can make the strategic decision like expansion of business, how to expand the business, what are the threats to the business. They can focus on that kind of decision making, or allocate their time to make strategic decision making. That is one of best advantage. Training for bottom level managers. Managers 2, managers 4, future promotions. It's like a grooming, because if the divisional manager is given the responsibility to make their own decisions, then it will be a training to perform in top level or come to the senior management. Got my idea? දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ඡන්ද කාලේ වුණත් බලන්න. මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඊළඟ ලෙවල් එකට දැන් ඉඳලාම ට්‍රේන් කරනවා. කුඹුරු කොටන්න යවනවා. ආධාර දෙන්න යවනවා. ඒ ඊළඟ ලෙවල් එකට ගන්න ට්‍රේන් කරනවා. Divisional autonomy. Okay, you can allocate the divisional, due to this divisional autonomy, divisional managers can train to the next level of management level. Those are the main responsibility. Keep in mind, this will be more useful. Okay, those are the advantage of divisionalization. Okay, disadvantages also being given. First one, decision might be taken by divisional managers in the best interest of their own part of the business, but against the best interest of the other divisions. That is called, first one, right, main disadvantage. Suboptimal decisions might take. Due to this divisionalization, suboptimal decisions. Suboptimal decisions mean each divisional manager has their own independence or autonomy to make their own decisions. Then what will happen? They will act their own interest. They will act their own interest. Okay, there are two divisions in a company. This is division A. This is division B. This is division B. This is overall company. This is overall company. Got my point? Okay. Now, division A. Okay. Division A. They are supplying goods to division B. Division B. Assume division A cannot sell their product to the external market. Their cost of production cost. I'll take 100. Production cost 100. Then they will add another 30 rupees to profit. 130. Okay. Because they need to at least generate 30% profit margin markup. Now they are asking, I will sell my product to division B at a price of 130 each. 130 each. Division B, compare this price with external supplier. External supplier given, I will supply the goods at 125. 125. Now, what will, if divisional managers can make their own interest to make their own decision, manager of division B will purchase at 125 from external supplier, instead purchasing of internal. Then company will losing or not? Yes, company will losing, because if we eliminate this is the internal pricing. No? The production cost itself is 100. You can produce this output within the group at 100, production cost 100. Due to this profit markup of 30, he is refusing to purchase and will go to the outside market. That is called suboptimal decision. Suboptimal decision means divisional managers will act their own interest. It will conflict with the overall interest of the company. That is the main disadvantage. Write it down. Making suboptimal decisions. So therefore, you can write it down. Part number 1 or number A. Divisional managers may take suboptimal decisions. Simply. Second one, cost of activities that are common to all decisions. Some of activity, some of cost might be there. It is common to the whole division. Then this is not a suitable method. Other one, top management might lose the control of organization activity. Therefore, if divisional managers has given the autonomy, they have no any clue of what's going in the bottom level. Those are the disadvantage of decentralization. Okay, that is the basic part. Now I am moving to responsibility accounting. Can you remember, I have given 4 responsibility centers. 4 responsibility centers. What's that? What are the responsibility centers? Now, responsibility centers and responsibility accounting means, okay, divisional managers are responsible for their own decisions. Due to decentralization or divisionalization, divisional managers can make their own decision. They are responsible for their own decision. That is called responsibility accounting. In responsibility accounting, divisional managers are responsible for their decisions. Okay. Now, there's a table given below. Okay. There are 4 responsibility center. Managers responsibility. Managers responsibility. Managers responsibility and measures. how to measure the performance measures. Okay, first one, it has given revenue. Revenue center. What is the responsibility, manager's responsibility in a revenue center? His responsibility is to increase the revenue. He is responsible for revenue generation. Therefore, he should need to make necessary actions to increase their revenue. Therefore, he is responsible for revenue. Only for revenue. Revenue generation. Revenue generation. He is only responsible for revenue generation. How to measure whether this divisional manager perform well or not? මෙයා හරියට වැඩ කරලා තියනවද නැද්ද කියලා කොහොමද බලන්නේ? ඔයාට කම්පෙයාර් කරලා බලන්න පුළුවන් මෙයාගේ revenue කොච්චර grow වෙලා තියෙනවද? Revenue වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවද නැද්ද කියන එක. Therefore, you can compare whether revenue has improved or not. You can compare, evaluate or compare revenue growth. Revenue growth. Okay. That's how it will be measured. Now you have identified revenue center. Their responsibility is to generate revenue. How to measure? You can evaluate whether revenue has grown or not. That is first one. Second one, cost center. Cost center. What is the responsibility? දැන් වල කියයි revenue center manager responsible for revenue, cost center manager responsible for cost. No. He is responsible for controllable cost. There are some cost general apportionment. He is not responsible. He is responsible for controllable cost. What is the meaning of controllable cost? We have already learned the cost which are within the control of management. That is called controllable cost. Ehinda ඔය මෙතන ගන්නේ he is responsible for controllable cost only. Control the controllable cost. Control the controllable cost. How to measure? You can do the variance analysis comparison. Okay. Variance analysis, efficiency ratios you can perform. Variance analysis. Efficiency ratio. Okay, that is relevant to cost. Third one, profit. Profit centers. These divisional managers are responsible for both revenue and controllable cost. Responsible for both revenue and controllable cost. Revenue and controllable cost. You can do variance analysis. Profit growth, you can compare profitability ratios. Profitability ratios. Final one, investment centers. Okay. in investment center managers, they are responsible to make profitable investments, long-term investment. They are responsible for managing output. They are responsible for controllable costs. They are responsible for generating revenues. These investment center managers are responsible for those all. That means they are responsible to select profitable projects. Their responsibility includes controllable cost, include sales prices, output volumes, investment in non-current assets, working capital investment. ඒ කියන්නේ project එකකට ගත්තොත් ඒ project එකේ තියෙන සියලුම component වලට මෙයා responsible. As an example, revenue flow, assume there's a project over 5 years. That 5 years he is responsible to generate sufficient output to generate revenue. He is responsible to control the cost relating to the production. He is responsible to produce sufficient or utilize the production volume. Okay, those are relevant to investment center because at the end of the day, he is responsible to generate profitable project. Okay, it will be evaluated by using this ratio: investment appraisal ratio, ROI, residual income, NPV, IRR, profitability index, like that. Those are the measurements available. Therefore, now you can get an idea what are the responsibility centers, what are their responsibilities, and how they measure it. Okay, those are the 4 responsibility centers and their measurement. Okay. First topic under those 4 responsibility centers, it has taken cost center. Remember, you can look at the cost center or performance report of the period. It has done what is the actual cost, what is the budgeted cost and variance. Remember, actual cost converted into flexible budget, then there you will compare the performance. Okay, I will take this example. In a cost center, now assume you are going to evaluate the performance of a cost center. You are going to evaluate performance of a cost center. Assume cost item, direct material, direct labor, variable production overhead. I am not going to take more. Variable production overhead. Now this is the budgeted cost per unit. Budgeted cost per unit. Direct material 100 rupees. Direct labor 50 rupees. Variable production overhead 30. Okay. Assume your actual output 1000 units. This is for per unit. Then you have to calculate, if you produce 1000 units, what would be the cost? Will cost expected cost or flex budget. Flexed budget. Flex budget, that is for 1000 unit. 1000 into 100, material cost should be 100,000. This should be 50 into 1000, it should be 50,000. 30 into 1000, it should be 30,000. Okay, you have prepared the flexible budget. Now actual information available, actual, then variance. Actual and variance. Now assume actual cost is 120,000. Variance is 20,000 adverse. 20,000 adverse. Labor cost 40,000. 10,000 favorable. Variable production overhead 25,000. 5,000 favorable. Total variance 5,000 adverse. Okay. Now this is cost center performance variance analysis report. Now you can check these are controllable cost. Assume if depreciation there, it is not a controllable cost. Okay. Now out of this controllable cost, direct material has shown negative performance. Okay. Then it need to be controlled. You have to find what are the reason why it has been resulted a negative variance. Okay. Therefore, cost center managers, their performance need to be evaluated based on controllable cost. Okay. I'm moving from that. Under cost center in page number 3, highlight the report should only include controllable cost. That means managers are only responsible for controllable cost. Put a star mark and write it down somewhere else. Put a star mark and write it down somewhere else. Controllable cost. Controllable cost. Controllable cost are those cost which are within the control of management. Those are within the control of management. Therefore, cost center managers, they are responsible only for controllable costs. That means they are responsible for the costs which they are within the control of management. That's all. Now we will move to revenue center. As I mentioned earlier, managers are responsible to raising revenue or generating revenue. That is revenue center. Profit center, both controlling controllable cost and raising revenue. Investment centers, they are responsible to attract financially feasible or profitable investment. Okay. Put a star mark and write it down. And here, most attributable cost are, most directly attributable cost are, mostly directly attributable cost are controllable cost. Most attributable cost are controllable cost. General apportionment of cost. General apportionment of cost. General apportionment of cost should be excluded. Should be excluded. Okay. Now responsibility centers we have identified. Divisionalization, responsibility center accounting we have noted. Now the next problem is the transfer pricing issue. Now, as an example, if company has a two division, if one division purchase internally from other division, then there is a problem at which price they need to purchase. That is called transfer pricing problem. Okay, I will summarize. This is the one of key area the examiner can test. Okay, I am trying to optimize the time utilization because we need to complete the lesson from the given time period. Okay. Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a large scale organization. Large scale organization. They I will say ABC company PLC. This is the whole set of company. It's a large scale company. They have split this company into two divisions based on two products. I'll say Division A and Division B. Division B. Okay. For the controlling purpose, you have divided your total company operation into two, Division A, Division B based on the product. This Division A can sells product, sells internally, sells product to Division B, sells internally, sells internally. When you sell the product from Division A to Division B, you need to decide which price, at which price, which price. There is a problem. Which price you need to charge? Where Division A එකේ ඉඳලා Division B එකට internally transfer කරනවා නම් මේ විකුණන product එකට charge කරන්න ඕනේ කීයද? That problem we call transfer pricing problem. Transfer pricing problem. එතකොට transfer pricing issue එකක් එන්නේ බාණ්ඩ එළියට විකුණනකොටද? නෑ. Transfer pricing issue will arise when goods or service shared internally, sell or purchase internally. Under that situation, the transfer pricing problem will arise. Got my point? Clear? Okay. Therefore, transfer pricing issue will arise when you purchase and sell the goods internally. Okay. Now, transfer pricing. The division which sells the product we call Division A is the selling division. Division B is the receiving division. Okay, there are two divisions. Therefore, the selling division, Division A, it is a revenue to Division A. The internal purchase will be a cost to Division B. Therefore, when they are at their own interest, මෙයා මොකද්ද කරන්න බන්නේ? මෙයා try කරන්නේ මෙයාගේ profit එක වැඩි කරගන්න පුළුවන් උපරිම මිලකට මෙයාට විකුණන්න. මෙයා division B බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මොකක්ද? එයා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ අඩු price එකකට අරගෙන එයාගේ profit එක වැඩි කරගන්න. එතකොට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මෙතන ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වෙනවද නැද්ද? ඇති වෙනවා. දෙන්නගෙම objective එක එකිනෙකාට පරස්පරයි. He is trying to minimize cost, he is trying to maximize his revenue. Okay. Therefore, the selling division we call supplying division. This is called supplying division. Supplying division. Supplying division means division who sells the product. Receiving the division who purchase the product we call receiving division. Receiving division. Okay. Therefore, supplying division's objective is to increase the revenue. Their objective is to minimize the revenue. Sorry, minimize the cost. Then suboptimal decisions will take. ඔතන තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ එන්නේ. මොකද assume division B has an opportunity to purchase from external market. External market. Opportunity to purchase from external market. I will say the supplying division says, okay, I will sell the product at 100 rupees each. 100 rupees each. You have an division B, have two options. Purchase internally, purchase externally. External supplier says, I will give it at 75 rupees. 75 rupees. Now, by looking at the situation, definitely manager of division B will purchase from external. Therefore, we need to resolve based on the situation. What is the minimum price we need to charge? What is the maximum price? We need to decide optimal transfer pricing range to eliminate suboptimal decisions. Okay. That is the introduction to transfer pricing. Transfer pricing issue will arise if product or service being transferred internally. ඒ කියන්නේ transfer pricing issue එක එන්නේ යම් කිසි භාණ්ඩයක් හෝ සර්වයක් ආයතනය තුල තවත් ඩිවිෂන් එකකට විකුණනවා නම් ඕ මාරු කරනවා නම් තමයි transfer pricing issue එක එන්නේ. ඒ වෙලාවෙදී අපිට කරන්න වෙනවා මොකද්ද? උපරිම සහ අවම transfer pricing range එකක් determine කරන්න. We need to determine maximum and minimum transfer price in order to eliminate suboptimal decisions. Okay. Shall we move to the transfer pricing in page number 6? Transfer prices are a way of promoting divisional autonomy, ideally without prejudicing the measurement of divisional performance or discouraging overall corporate profit maximization. Transfer prices should be set at a level which ensures that profits for the organization as a whole are maximized. Remember, the objective of transfer pricing is to make a transfer pricing a objective එක තමයි not maximize divisional revenue, maximize overall company revenue. Remember, maximize overall company revenue. Overall company revenue. Maximize overall company revenue. Clear? That is the purpose. Okay. The limits within which transfer prices should fall are as follows. Okay. Transfer pricing එකක් set කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා අපි බලමු දැන්. මම මේක මකනවා. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about minimum and maximum that I will call optimal transfer pricing range. Optimal transfer pricing range. optimal transfer pricing range. Okay. First one, minimum transfer price. Minimum transfer price. Minimum transfer price. Minimum transfer price mean, assume when you are going to transfer product to the internal division, what is the minimum price to be charged? Okay. That includes marginal cost plus opportunity cost of the internal transfer. Therefore, minimum transfer price equal what? Marginal cost of supplying division plus opportunity cost of internal transfer. Opportunity cost of internal transfer. Then second, maximum transfer price. Equal external supplier price minus any internal, okay, external supplier price any cost saving from internal transfer. Any cost saving from internal transfer. Okay, now I will illustrate this maximum and minimum transfer pricing range. Okay, I am summarizing. Transfer pricing will arise when goods or service transferred internally. Okay. Now, in order to optimize the overall company revenue or profitability, we need to determine optimal transfer pricing range. That optimal transfer pricing range will fall in between minimum and maximum transfer price. Assume, I will illustrate. This is division A. This is division B. Division B. Division A, they are selling goods. They can transfer internally, sells internally, or they can sell externally. External market. Okay. Now selling price, I'll say SP, oh, sorry, not selling price. I'll take marginal cost. Marginal cost 100 plus fixed cost 20 plus profit markup, profit 30, selling price 150. Okay, now they can sell this entire product in the external market at a price of 150. In addition, there is a selling cost of 5 rupees per unit. ඒ කියන්නේ ඩිවිෂන් A එක යාගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක එක්ස්ටර්නල් මාකට් එකේ විකුණන්න පුළුවන් රුපියල් 150ට 150ට විකුණනවා නම් එයාට එක යුනිට් එකකට රුපියල් 5ක් සෙලින් කොස්ට් එක විදියට දරන්න වෙනවා. හරිද? ඩිවිෂන් B එකට Division B has an opportunity. Okay, Division B has an opportunity to purchase similar kind of product, either Division A or external supplier at, I will say, 148 rupees. එතකොට මට තීරණය කරන්න ඕනි මෙතන division B externally purchase කරනවද නැත්නම් internally purchase කරනවද කියන එක. හරිද? මෙයා if division A reject to supply division B, he can earn how much? 150 minus 545 he can earn. Okay, 145. If he sells internally, sorry, if division B purchase externally, they need to pay 148. Now you need to decide minimum and maximum transfer price. Minimum and maximum transfer price. Okay, I'll say minimum price, minimum transfer price. How much? Minimum transfer price එක වෙන්න ඕනේ කීයක්ද? ක්‍රම දෙකකට හොයන්න පුළුවන්. If division A can sells to external market, what is the net selling price he will get? කොච්චරක් ගන්නවද? 150න් පහක් ගියපුවාම අතට එනවා රුපියල් 145ක්. 145 rupees you can earn, division A can earn selling 1 unit of output. එකක් විකුණුවොත් 145ක් එනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මෙයාගේ marginal cost එක 100යි. Okay, opportunity cost එක කීයද? If you sell this product to the internally, your marginal cost is 100, your opportunity cost is 150 minus 100 minus 5, 45 rupees. 45ක mark contribution එකක් වාට නැති වෙනවා. Therefore you can decide minimum transfer price, your marginal cost plus opportunity cost. Marginal cost is 100, opportunity cost එක කීයද? Lost contribution. If you transfer internally, you will lose 45 rupees as a contribution. එහෙමත් නැත්නම් 150න් පහ ගියා 145යි. අඩුම මෙයාට විකුණන හැම එකකටම එක්ස්ටර්නල් මාකටිං හම්බෙන 145ක්. එහෙනම් මෙයා internally transfer කරන අඩුම තරම මෙයාට හම්බ වෙන 145ක්. Therefore opportunity cost is 45. Minimum transfer price 145. Minimum transfer price. What is the maximum transfer price? Maximum transfer price. Maximum transfer price is the external supplier price බැරි වෙලාවත් කියනවා නම් අපි හිතමු internally විකුණනවා නම් internally විකුණනවා නම් ඔයාට මොකක්ද දරන්න වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ? internally විකුණනවා නම් packing cost එක දරන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කියමුකෝ. එහෙනම් ඒක ඉතුරු වෙනව නේද? ඒ ඉතුරු වෙන එක මේ external supply price එක ඇත්තටම ඇතුළේ විකුණන එකෙන් ඔයාට ලැබෙන වාසිය. දැන් මෙතනින් ගත්තොත් මෙතන එහෙම internally මම දීලා නැහැ. If internally transfer the maximum external supply price is 148. 148. There's no any internal cost saving from internal transfer. අපි දැන් minimum transfer price එක ගන්නකොට මට හම්බෙන net selling price එක තමයි මම ගත්තේ. Therefore maximum transfer price 148. Therefore minimum and maximum there. This is called optimum transfer pricing. Minimum 145. Maximum 148. This range we call optimal transfer pricing range. Optimal transfer pricing range. Optimal transfer pricing range. ඒ කියන්නේ your organization profit will be maximized if you determine transfer pricing in between 145 and 148. 145 කිව්වොත් මෙයාත් accept කරනවා මෙයාත් accept කරනවා. 146 කිව්වොත් මෙයාත් accept කරනවා මෙයාත් accept කරනවා. 147 both will accept. 148 both will accept. But 149 149 කිව්වොත් මෙයා කැමති හැබැයි මෙයා කැමති නැහැ. තේරුණාද? Because he has the next option external supply offers 148. Any price above 148 from internal transfer he will reject. Okay, this is how we will sort out transfer pricing problem. Okay, then you can draw this one and you can decide minimum and maximum transfer price. I have given the formula. You can draw this. Minimum and maximum transfer price will set the optimal transfer pricing range. Optimal transfer pricing range. Okay. What is a transfer price? As I have explained, transfer price means if product is sell in product or service transfer internally, the price need to be charged we call transfer price. Okay, write it down. A transfer price. A transfer price. A transfer price is the price. The transfer price is the price. The transfer price is the price which goods or services. Which goods or services. Which goods or services transferred between different units of the same company. Different units of same company. Okay. Okay, next one, main uses of transfer prices. පළවෙනි එක බලන්න. Now, if products are sold internally, if you have not charged any amount, then the supplying division's manager's performance can be evaluated? No. Since there is a transfer pricing mechanism, we will able to measure the divisional manager's performance. Therefore, first one, evaluation of divisional manager's performance. Okay, under that write it down. Write it down. Transfer prices. transfer prices will be a cost to the receiving division, will be a cost to the receiving division, will be a cost to the receiving division. Then divisional managers are trying to protect their own interest, while controlling internal cost, that is the first benefit or use of transfer price. Transfer pricing can be used to evaluate divisional managers' performance. As I said earlier, this internal transfer is a cost to the division B. Therefore, since he is trying to get at a lower price, division B should ensure that they will offer at the acceptable price. That means lower than external supplier price. එතකොට මෙයා try කරනවා මේ product එක external supplier ගේ cost එකට වඩා අඩුවට දෙන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ අඩුවට දෙන්න නම් මෙයා cost එක minimize කරගන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට internal cost efficiency එක improve වෙනවා. මෙයා 148ට වැඩියෙන් දුන්නොත් මෙයා ගන්නේ නැහැ. බැරි වෙලාවත් මෙයාට market එකක් තිබ්බේ නැත්නම් මෙයාට මේක විකුණ ගන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. තේරුණාද? එහෙනම් මෙයාට convince කරන්න නම් මෙයා external supplier price එකට වඩා අඩුවෙන් මේ product එක supply කරන්න ඕනේ. That is one. This can be used to evaluate managers' performance. Second one, achieve the organizational overall objective. Now, ultimately, the transfer pricing effort illustration exercise should ensure maximize overall organization objective. Write it down. This is known as goal congruence. The organizational goal is to maximize the profits. The divisional manager's performance will assess divisionally. The divisional manager's performance will assess divisionally. But their overall objective should be to ensure overall organizational objective. Okay. Third use of transfer pricing. The divisional managers can make their own purchasing and selling decisions. That means transfer pricing will enable to make their own decision. That means promote the divisional autonomy. Okay, write it down. Third use of transfer price is to the divisional managers have their own right to have their own right to make the decisions, have their own right to make the decisions without the consultation from, without the consultation from top managers, without the consultation from top managers, without the consultation of top manager. We are in the page number 7. Okay, now we have written down the main uses of transfer prices. Okay, we'll take a break in this moment, because next we are going to move into the computations, determination of optimal transfer pricing range based on 2 scenarios, when there is a perfect market and when imperfect market exists. We'll discuss after the break. We'll take a break.